All right, what's going on, everyone? NASCAR Sunday. We're talking Watkins Glen, Go Bowling at the Glen, Draftkings / FanDuel DFS breakdown. I'm the geek. I got Taco here with me. We're gonna break this thing down. And Taco,
Yo,
what's up with Go Bowling at the Glen? What that's who's sponsoring it? Is there a bowling alley in Watkins Glen that's putting up the numbers for this? What is that?
it's funny. I have this video from a couple of years ago of Chris Buescher spinning out into the grass, and then he literally goes bowling with himself through the Go Bowling signs that are all over the place.
Nice.
Probably one of my probably one of my favorite moments from the last few years.
So
That shit was just comedic relief, which you may need after watching yesterday's race. You're gonna need some of that because that was a fuck fest.
a
Well, I mean,
lot of
that's just
carnage.
Xfinity.
Always at Xfinity. Is Watkins Glen generally kind of a carnagey type of race or track?
So historically, not really. We've ran about 15% of the laps have been ran under caution. It's a bit lower than average. Last year, only 2 cautions. And of course, you had the 2 stage cautions. But with the rule change this year, and boy, did we see that come into play last week. No more cautions at stage breaks. And so they just kind of keep on going. And, last week we saw 1 early caution and then just green flag for the entire race. So it's kind of trending a bit in that direction. They're not really going to throw a flag unless someone's like dead on the track out there or stuck in the sand.
Let's get into
but it can kind of vary from year to year how this race goes. Sometimes they're like big gnarly crashes.
let's get into the specifics of it. So we just had a road course last week. We're back on the road course circuit here. Watkins Glen, we've got 90 laps to go. We've got 90 laps in this race, so almost very few dominator points to go around. The laps are really long. So these are 2.5 mile. Is it? What's the mileage here?
Yes, 2.5.
Okay, so we got a 2.5 mile lap, and I think the biggest or maybe the most significant thing we can really take away is we ran road last week. This is the same car, correct?
Yep. And
So
a lot of the guys that are slow last week are slow again this week, like Stuart Haas Racing. Oh my God, they look bad. They look so bad.
So the bad cars from last week should still look bad. The good cars from last week should look good again. And Michael McDowell is priced as a stud here. So
yeah, I mean, you should probably expect a lot of people to pile onto last week because we hadn't ran a true road course in quite a while since last week. So of course, last week is going to be the comp. You could look last year at this track in the next gen. I mean, this is a place where track history is pretty decent at. Like Hendrick has won 4 straight races here. Of course, that didn't change at all last year. They were still pretty damn good. But I mean, you're gonna have some guys are like pretty decent here and not good at the other road courses. But for the most part, when you have a 2.5 mile long track, you're going to kind of know who's fast because practice times and qualifying times aren't really going to lie to you like they would at a shorter track or like missing some laps, and some guys could run like some hot laps. Like you gotta be able to get through or navigate through this whole thing successfully kind of over and over again. Like as we look at some of the longer runs here, like that speed is probably not really going to lie. We kind of see it at every track that's on the bigger side outside of super speedways like Michigan or Pocono. Pretty obvious who's fast just based on the practice laps, and here it's no exception.
So let's take a look then at the practice laps, and I want to be reminded of kind of who was fast last week as well. So let's as we kind of take a look through some of this, give me a little bit of a reminder. Was this guy good last week or not? Obviously, I don't remember. So we'll see. I remember some McDowell winning, but
there's a lot of McDowell. If you skip last week, I can't even really blame you. It was just McDowell show.
Which yeah, I don't think I watched.
Did call that in the pod though. It's been a while since I've successfully called like a breakout race like that. Well,
that was an elite call. By the way, for those of you
3
who
weeks
didn't
ago,
watch,
Buescher, I guess not, but hey.
For
I don't think I'll be making any of those calls this week. Sorry, but
oh man, we need one of those. But for those who didn't watch the breakdown last week, Taco nailed McDowell, and that was such a low owned smash. that everybody should have taken down a tournament last week. Who was listening to that? I had a lot of McDowell too. I did well, but I had a lot of McDowell.
Yeah,
but
the blunder we had last week, hands down, was too much place differential because
I couldn't do well
with
because
no
I had
cautions. Everyone in the back was fucked.
Yeah, that was the killer. Last week you needed basically no place diff, which again is weird considering it was a road track, but it was just all the front guys finished in the front. So let's get into this here. I'm looking at the practice times, looking at the average practice times here, and just trying to get a sense of who's fast. Looks like Dinger doing his thing. McDowell quick again. Is Chase Elliott the guy? Kyle Larson the fastest? What am I looking at here?
So yeah, Byron and Larson, you can see have really good speed. Elliott, we didn't see as much speed from him. He didn't run as many laps, but I don't think many people are worried about Elliott. He was the de facto favorite coming into this week and is still a co-favorite despite starting way back in 15th. He's going to be the chalk most likely. Other than that, I think people are going to kind of lean on some of these practice times. Like I'd say Hamlin, his fall off was pretty bad. So I think he's got some good hot lapping here, as we can see. He actually had like a pretty good gap in the second round of qualifying when he won that pole. Like it was a pretty convincing pole. I just don't know if he has the staying power. You can see Byron kind of has that longer run speed. Kyle Busch also has really impressive long run speed, really bad short run speed. So if this thing goes green again, he's going to be kind of one of those guys that you're looking at.
What's the history of Kyle Busch in this type of track?
He's been good. He's been running top 5 at every road course race so far this year. He wrecked out kind of early last week, though.
Okay, let's talk about guys who weren't fast. Potential avoids. So I want to think about some of these avoids because there are some names here that we've been kind of on and off. I mean, I see Kevin Harvick with some red. It looks horrible. Chase Briscoe, who is going to be
covering the screen.
What's that?
We're kind of covering the screen here.
Oh, wait. Oh, first of all, Dooley, get out of there. And number 2, we'll take ourselves out of the picture here so you guys can see. So, Kevin Harvick. By the way, we are on the public feed, guys. So hit the like button and do the public subscribe to the channel and all that good stuff. I got to remind you, hammer this if you like this style. But listen, if you want Taco to do some more of these pods while I float away to the NFL team, got to hit that like button. Let us know you're out there. All right. So yeah, Kevin Harvick, really slow.
Look at his teammates too. Ryan Preece, really slow. Eric Almirola, the slowest.
Yeah. Is that SHR? So their team is just ass?
Oh yeah, they're so bad this week and last week.
You know who's not slow?
Really hard to avoid there, honestly.
You know who's not
Corey
slow?
LaJoie, yeah.
Colo. What is this? What's going on with Colo?
His
car's fast.
He's been kind of fast at the road courses. He really has been. It's just he's starting 10th. But he may be in play.
Oh, wow. He's starting 10th. But you
may be in play starting 10th, which is wild to think about.
You need the savings. All of these turds, Harry Burton looks like one of those guys that you might want to play starting in the back. But, man, he looks slow as shit also.
So, look, it's going to be, if this thing goes green the entire race like last week, LaJoie is going to be kind of in play. But you got to think about this situationally. If we get some tomfoolery, some fuckery going on around here, it's going to be your guys like Harry Burton, even like a stinky guy like Preece or Haley or someone, Stenhouse, who just, gets that carnage place differential. It's a possibility, but, predicting carnage at this track is kind of tough. So they tend to feed off each other. Like once the cautions start, they keep on coming. If we get overtimes or like just wrecks in the final 10 laps of the race, this whole thing could be flipped upside down. We saw that was basically the case all of yesterday in the Xfinity race. Just guys wrecking while people are on pit road and shaking up because of that.
Yeah, but that's Xfinity.
I would look at Custer here and just note that he only ran like one lap. So I would not put too much stock in that time. It's still a Rick Ware racing car, the woman beater car, Cody Ware's car.
Ooh.
But I mean, if there's, he's starting like 34th, he's going to be one of those plays where, if there's any amount of carnage or just like this drought of value we have at the very bottom, if you're looking at some expensive plays today and need to punt that cheap, you may not need that great of a play to have it work out.
This is going to be a challenging one to come up with. So I haven't looked at the starting positions. I haven't like dived in at all. But yeah, this is going to be challenging down here because these guys all look so bad. And Colo, Colo didn't even give you the bonus of starting in the back. Like, oh, he's fat, but he's starting up front.
So this week is kind of an economy week. It's very interesting because you've got some of the best plays in Byron and Hamlin. They're like in the 8Ks. They're priced down this week. So there's kind of a case to be made for just making mid-range lineups because there is a value drought, a severe value drought down low where, the best looking plays down low do not look good. We're fresh off the road course last week, and the pricing for the most part is kind of baked in and it's pretty solid. So the guys at the bottom are kind of at the bottom for a reason. There's not really much value, no free place differential plays or anything.
At 5,200, you almost might have to play Colo. You know what I mean? Like, that's a really interesting starting point. And I think it's a playable starting point at 10. That's not that bad.
No track history whatsoever here.
No, I mean, he hasn't been good. He has no history of finishing 10th or better outside of like a Daytona Carnage Fest. But you know what? This is not out of the question. So let's take a quick look. So what I want you to do is give me an idea of who was running specifically well last week, or was it so McDowell focused last week that no one else was even sort of in the discussion? Like, who was running well last week?
One sec. We do have a hot tip coming from long-term member TDES23, who's won some pretty big tournaments before. He said, listening to Corey LaJoy's podcast, they might potentially have to start at the rear. He said that he was leaking something, might have to change, go to backup today. So just keep that in mind. Watch out for news regarding that, because that would really fuck over LaJoy and just make that value range just pathetic.
You know who else that would fuck over? Kenny G.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's saying he's 60% Colo.
We called him crazy last week for stacking the top 10, but now he's looking at us like, who's the crazy one?
Never call Kenny G crazy.
Never.
He
thrives off of that.
Never do that. My boy comes in here every week, says I'm that. Last week he's like, I'm going 100% McDowell. Like, do not discount Kenny G's hot takes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if he's starting at the rear, don't play him at all. Let's get that part straight. This is a road track. It's hard to get from the back to the front. So with that being said, who else ran well, Taco, last week? Like, give me an idea of who are those cars. I know it was McDowell that was the guy, but who was he was looking good and he crashed, or he was looking good, or who was bad?
So you had Reddick as the de facto favorite last week, right? And he started second. I think most people expected him to dominate the race. Obviously, that didn't come to fruition. He kind of hung up there, ran like 5th or 6th all race, which is kind of disappointing for him. You had Elliott kind of come up through the field. He was the one really pressing McDowell towards the end of the race.
Is that why finishing second?
Yeah. I mean, he's had an off season overall this year, but on road courses, which are his bread and butter, he's been, getting back into that elite form. You had Suarez off the pole, who, ran pretty decently. I found whenever Suarez gets like a pole, qualifies really well at road course races, he does really well. He ran 3rd. He was great. This week he's priced up and he's slow in practice, qualified poorly, and I don't know if I'm on Suarez, but Brady is big time on Suarez this week. So there's a disagreement there for sure.
I see D.Ham on the poll. Is this a well, actually, let's take a look at DraftKings average by start. I forgot to look at this. So let's just get an idea of what happens at this track in terms of
the pole sitters tend to eat here.
Let's see though. Do they?
Just specifically if you go to the left, the first starting position.
I mean,
it's because qualifying is so important here, and usually the best car ends up front. I wouldn't say that Hamlin's the best car this week. There's kind of a surprise. Like, he had a very good hot lap, and it's what we saw in practice. Had a good hot lap. The long run speed wasn't quite there. Of course, if he gets out in clean air here early and there are just no cautions early, he could lead a bunch of laps, similar to what we saw with Suarez. I mean, for a bit there last week.
How many races is this data from?
You see in the number right there on the left, 9.
So, man, this is
they come every once a year, yeah. Except COVID.
These are 9 tracks, and this data. This is very interesting. You do not see an advantage to being on the pole here over the 9 tracks. 24.1 fantasy points for the pole sitter.
Even with all those lead laps and fast laps, yeah. Only optimal a third of the time.
But it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's right. That is not ideal, right? You're also not seeing like especially amazing results from the shitters, except for like last place, and usually that the last place guy might have some like.
We haven't had more than 38 cars in the field for a while.
Yeah, I think only 5 and 4, and you're going back a while. But if you start with the 38 number where the field is now, you're seeing that the bottom group does not have a spike. As a matter of fact, it seems
qualifying tends to not lie too much here.
It looks like the meat and potatoes of scoring in this track seems to happen. And again, this is, 9 races and some of these spots are bad, but seems to be the 5th through 22nd. So like the mid zone, that's where you get your top 6 fantasy point guys. It looks like randomly 8th and 6th place and 16th.
Well, I wouldn't look into any individual numbers, which is why I usually like to group them up in groups of 5. But
yeah, well, if you talk to Burns, just side note, or some people really are superstitious about these specific things, where it's like, I'm gonna play whoever's in 6th now, whoever's in 7th.
You gotta start whoever starts 4th in the class. You gotta do it, man. He's won.
Yeah, it's almost like a superstition thing at this point, but it's not. Hey, listen,
it's fun. But yeah, the mid-range here in play, and also the mid-range just salary-wise in this slate also in play. It's a bizarre slate, I would say.
It stands out. I like it. I kind of like it. I think that's how you play it. So I think we're going to be able to. I think we'll use this and see how it goes. Right? Like again, if you take a look at averages by starting 5, and this one being your averages thing, you don't see much advantage to playing the back of the field at all. As a matter of fact, it does not get better. So. Nope. And let's just take a look by driver rating and see here 90 to 100.
Not as big of an advantage for the just typical elite cars, but that chart's not going to be as useful at a road course where there are guys that are like hyper specifically good at road courses and do significantly better on road courses than just average.
All right, let's jump into this race, and we'll talk through the drivers as we go through, and we'll talk about whether or not they did well last week and all of that stuff. Again, if you guys are watching this, make sure you're subscribed to the DFS Army channel. I'm about to start slamming NFL content, fantasy football content nonstop. You guys are going to want to be there for it. You have to hit the notification bell so it lets you know when we're putting out new. We got betting content, Taco. We've got, of course, DFS breakdowns throughout the week. I don't sleep.
The props.
We got the Proptimizer tool. Got all of that. So subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of content coming for you guys here. And for anybody who's watching this that isn't subscribed to DFS Army, you're just on the channel, but not actually subscribed to the site and the group. If you were thinking about checking it out, now is the time. We got the 25% off preseason promo going, early bird special. You ever go for an early bird special, Taco?
Yeah, but usually because I'm up late, not because I'm up early.
No, see, early bird around here is like 4:00 dinner. You ever do that? Like a 5:00 dinner, get the fixed price menu out.
The happy hour.
Yeah, a little happy hour action. I'm a big early bird guy when I can make it there. Well, we got the early bird special going on at DFS Army. Promo code NFL 2023 knocks off 25% from your subscription.
Hell yeah.
That will be over in about a week. So you have about another week to sign up. And the members have told you. But Duel, we got you for NFL as well. We got you for NFL, of course. Okay, so let's talk about, let's go driver by driver on this track, and we'll go through it. So you've got Chase Elliott, prohibitive favorite, 6.5 to 1 win odds. Ownership, massive here. He's starting 15th, 42% owned. This is the chalk of the slate.
Yep, and the only question is, how are people going to afford this? I think this is the one guy people pay for. I think everyone else is going to be kind of voided. He's going to keep Larson's ownership down too. I'm pretty sure. Like, he's going to project out super well no matter what, unlike any optimizer.
I already checked our optimizer, and he is he's also a value, one of the top values, which is crazy.
And it's with a conservative estimate too, because he could literally just drive through the field and dominate this race. It wouldn't surprise anybody.
Yeah, so
I am totally ready for football.
But he's also sucked all year, so I think there's merit here. What I see is I'm looking at, is there merit to the fade here?
So what if Chase Elliott is streaky? He's probably the streakiest driver I could think of in recent history. He has kind of sucked all year, but he has been ramping up his form specifically at road courses, and he needs a win to get in. There are 2 weeks left. His team has been prepping for this specific week, sort of like how McDowell's team spent all year prepping for last week specifically, and probably this week. And we saw those two cars being like the two best. They got their wins. They're in the playoffs. Well, not yet, not wins yet, but I mean, you could see Elliott being very prepared for this race here. His teammates have speed. His team's won 4 straight races at this track. We kind of know what they're doing. The only concern is we didn't really see the speeds in practice that we saw from his teammates, but overnight, I'm sure that they share their sauce a little bit, because Larson's already in the playoffs. God knows Byron's already in the playoffs. I'm really too worried about Elliott here.
I'm going to bring a little DFS contrarianism into this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very simple. Chase Elliott at 42% owned. That's very high ownership, right? And he is the chalk of this slate. If he does not win, or if he doesn't really come in the top 4 or 5 at that price, he won't be in the winning lineup, right? So there is merit in my mind. Mm-hmm. Forget all the other stuff, because shit happens, and this guy hasn't been that great this year. There's certainly merit in saying, I'm out.
Yep.
If somebody said I'm out on Chase this week, I don't want to deal with the 42% of lineups that have him, and I'll just, if he kind of just doesn't win, I'll give myself a chance. So I think there's a merit to being out on Chase at 42% owned as the most expensive driver. He's 6.5 to 1 to win, and you can have much lower ownership guys for cheaper with similar but not the same win odds. So to me, that is a fadeable spot.
See, he's got kind of he's probably the only guy in the slate that's got like both place differential upside, which is great at road courses, and dominator upside. You can see he's Brady's top dominator pick by far. His average here is ridiculous at this track. He averages 28 lead laps, 18 fast laps. If he comes anywhere near that, he's going to smash. He's also the top in average laps led in the next-gen car at road courses, even though he's yet to win one, which is surprising, because before he was winning like 5 straight road course races or whatever. Like, it's still amazing, and by far the leader in next-gen fast laps per race as well. So, I mean, he's just there's a reason he is going to be projected so well everywhere. It's just very hard not to, especially with them starting in a pretty decent spot where, if he runs up and finishes second, he probably doesn't even need to lead many laps. I think that alone will be good enough, but he has the upside to go above and beyond that and lead laps and do his thing.
I think we've got some alternatives here, especially on a slate where there's not going to be much value at the bottom. So paying the top dollar is going to be difficult, Taco. It's going to be
that's why I don't like him in GPP as much. Obviously in cash, if you don't own him, you're kind of a mark. But I think he outshines Larson here. He's won 2 straight races at this track. You
have some really
I think a lot more people be on Elliott than Larson, because Larson has not shown any sort of form at the road courses this year. But I mean, it could be a spot for him to get his.
So speaking of Larson, instead of Chase at 6.5 to 1, you've got Larson 7.5 to 1 to win this thing, starting 5th. 2 wins here for Larson.
Yep, back to back.
A lot to like. How did he look last week?
Pedestrian. He's looked kind of pedestrian all year, just running outside of the top 5 between like 5th and 10th. at the road
Yeah,
course. It's
he
kind of
does
what
that.
he's done, but he hasn't shown elite practice speed really that either. And he was top 5 in 3, 5, 10 lap averages. His teammate Byron showed incredible speed, one of the fastest cars in practice last week or yesterday. So should be some speed there for sure.
Truex projects well in terms of place diff, but 15-1 odds versus all the guys in his price range, like that are cheaper than him, that you can get for 8 or 9 or even 7 or 6-1 odds. Like, this is just not a good scene up here from a mathematical perspective.
Just do not like Truex this week because outside of Sonoma, he's awesome at Sonoma, right? Like, he dominated that race. He's terrific at that specific track. Outside of Sonoma, he has done absolutely nothing at road courses since we made the switch to the next gen car. And before that, remember, he was like second or third, basically just blocked behind Elliott. Couldn't get wins really because Elliott existed and was just perpetually blocking him. But he was like that next tier of driver. That's really tapered off since we got on the next gen car. He's not been getting any fast laps or doing anything. So even though he's starting 19th, him and Elliott is you may want to compare him and Elliott with them being the two quote unquote dominator plus place differential plays. I just don't see any dominator upside from Truex this week.
Clay is asking how many dominators. I'm going to tell you something, Clay. I don't think you need to force any dominators this week. So I'm just going to say you don't have to force any.
I don't even think you need a rule this week because
it's unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
It's unnecessary because all of these good cars are kind of driving up front. You're going to have a bunch of them in your lineup. Like, you're going to have a bunch.
Or it could be like yesterday where Ty Gibbs leads the entire freaking race off of the pole and then crashes on the last lap and isn't in the optimal.
All right,
very much happen.
Tyler Reddick, aforementioned, starting 8th, 17-1. Not the best win odds here. Why he was one of the favored drivers last week. He's been really good at road courses. Why did his odds drop to 17-1?
I mean, I can't speak for the odds makers themselves, but I think they're just off Toyota as a monolith this week outside of Hamlin, who has the pole, which I get why his odds are cranked up. But Reddick, just super disappointing last week. He's gotten 3 wins since the switch to next gen car at these road courses. Just the last 3 races have not gone his way. But he's been there. He put up the second fastest lap in practice. I don't like sports booking on NASCAR because the rake is just out of this world. But I mean, that would probably be one of the better bets really, is grabbing Reddick here. He's finished 10th and 7th here the last 2 years. Not been the greatest at this track compared to most of the other road course tracks where he's got that kind of elite looking history. But he just kind of if you're paying up for a guy, again, it's going to be hard to justify taking Reddick over Elliott. Maybe you take him instead of Elliott to save some money. But Elliott's just got way more upside. Maybe even Larson as well.
This kind of feels like a FanDuel week.
Yeah,
like last week.
There are a lot of guys that are very, very strong looking on FanDuel or just priced ridiculously.
This is standing out to me as a FanDuel week. I'm looking at some of these prices, some of these salaries.
A good week to hedge. There's a lot of guys that's only set up for FanDuel.
Yeah, I'm liking that. Kyle Busch starting 9th, 9.5-1. Listen, he's in it. He's in the conversation.
For me, basically, if this thing goes green, you're going to kind of want to make 2 different styles of lineups because there are 2 different ways this race could shake out. More than likely, it's going to be pretty green flaggy, pretty long runny, especially without the stage cautions. That's kind of huge. And we saw Kyle Busch have the best long run speed in practice of anyone. Maybe Allmendinger was kind of there. He just didn't make a 10 lap run, but Kyle Busch, you saw him maintain, even gain a little speed over time. But initially off the start, he's not super fast, only qualified 9th. But this is a good spot for him. He's finished top 5 at all the road course races this year so far until last week where he wrecked out early.
You're going to need to win. These guys here, they need to finish top 4 or 5 understand what's going on
Yeah,
here.
Bush is winning upside though. I think me and Brady would both agree on that.
Just this whole group though, Taco.
Mm-hmm.
This whole group without the place diff, Kyle Larson, they need to be in the top 3. Like they got there aren't enough spots in the top 3 for 5 or 6 of these guys. That's what it's going to happen. That's what it's going to take. They're going to have to finish top 3. There's no room for error, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Kyle Busch and other guys set up really, really well on FanDuel.
Yeah, Kyle Busch at that price, I really like. That's a great FanDuel spot for him. Michael McDowell now officially priced up as a stud, starting 3rd off the pole, dominated last week, couldn't be touched. Same car, same type of track, same everything.
This is
9.5 to 1 win odds.
Next 2 drivers are big points of contention between me and Brady here.
Yeah, I'm going to pop to the Brady one. I can't wait to get to Suarez because it's so different. I'm going to pop over to Brady's sheet here just to contrast it. But let's get to McDowell first and just McDowell the chalk, 36%. Is this another fade spot? Is this where we're like, you know what? For 36%, maybe do something else?
I mean, it's gonna be hard to make the case. I guess the main case is that McDowell is not, like it was a breakout performance last week. Now, granted, we literally just saw Buescher do this exact same thing, following up a breakout performance with another breakout performance at a track that no one expected him to do it at. This is just the same road course car from last week that destroyed the field. And remember, McDowell started 3rd here at this race last year and led 14 laps. That was like his initial breakout performance. So he might be even better at this track than at Indy. That's kind of really scary. I'm not entirely sure why Brady is so off of McDowell, but I think he factors in ownership a lot when it comes to his, it's maybe why he's so big on Suarez here, because there's, of course,
I think that's a lot
difference in ownership.
That's going to go into that note. So Brady's got a 3-star out on McDowell. Taco, you've got him as more of a core play, 4.5, almost a one of the favorite plays, right? So
he was the fastest car again. He was the fastest car last week in practice. He was the fastest car this week in practice, and his long run speed was pretty decent as well. It's going to be. He may just get blocked out early and just chill 2nd or 3rd, but I feel like he's going to run top 5 all race.
I'm not sure top 5 is enough. Actually, it should be enough. And now I think about it, I do think even if he drops a spot, that might be enough.
Yeah.
But his margin is, if he doesn't take the lead, the margin of finishing top 5 or top 10 is not that big. And if he's 7th or 8th place, he's not in the win. You don't win.
Mm-hmm. That's what he did last year. He was able to get there by leading the laps, getting fast laps. But yeah, he ran his average running position was 4th last year, and then he finished 6th. It was a pretty good run, but he's been ramping up his form kind of ever since then. He's been just one of the top guys. Honestly, he was just, his price last week was so disrespectful. We just had to load up on him 7,400 or something.
Yeah,
this price is way more appropriate. On FanDuel, he's priced up incredibly, but so you're not gonna need a crazy amount of him. He is going to be popular. I'm not sure if the increased price will keep his ownership down, because I'm pretty sure everyone saw he just led like 50 out of 80 laps last week. It is incredible. It's the same car. Didn't do anything to it.
Some of these FanDuel prices are bonkers that we're getting to here in a second.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're thinking over there, but McDowell. So, chalk play, crushed last week, starting 3rd, 9.5 to 1, looks great this week. Make a decision based on that, but he's got to finish top 4 or 5 in order to be in the nuts, or he would have had to lead a bunch of laps, and he can drop down a little bit from there, but still top 7. You're out of the top 7, you're not winning, period. D-Swizz. So you've got Daniel Suarez as sort of a fade, doesn't qualify well, doesn't practice well. So you're going with a little bit of a sort of Suarez. Yes, he's done well when he's sort of practiced well and took the lead, but a lot of times he just kind of sucks. Brady, on the other hand,
every single time he's been super fast at a road course, he qualified in the pole. At least since the switch to the next gen car. And
this time he didn't qualify.
27th in practice.
Yeah, not a good practice time. Didn't qualify at the pole, but Brady's basically saying, I don't care about any of that. This guy's good at road courses, and he had a really fast car last week. So he should be good this week.
Listen, I feel like that speed would have been shown in practice. Again, practice very, very, very like it's hard to obfuscate your speed in practice when the track is 2.5 miles long.
This one's really interesting. The hatred for Allmendinger. I love Allmendinger most weeks, but
he hates Colleague. He's hated Colleague for a minute.
Yeah,
and
but
I kind of get it
good.
Because Colleague looked shit in Xfinity yesterday with Kyle Busch driving it. Granted, that's different series and all, but yeah, he just is literally a Colleague player hater.
He's a hater. I mean, the win odds are pretty good for Dinger here, 8.5 to 1. He's starting 6th. Price is pretty decent. I think for me, you got to have him in your mix. I don't know about, I can't really sit here and diss the I can't sit here and diss the team when Dinger himself wasn't bad in practice. Give me your thoughts on Allmendinger. Like, are you playing him?
So I kind of want to be anti-Dinger because he was super disappointing last week. Although he ended up like off cycle and racked up like a metric shit ton of fast laps. Shouldn't consider that moving forward. So like his averages are kind of fucked up. But realistically, what I keep thinking of is AJ Allmendinger is given his selection of because of Kyle Busch, you've got only 5 races you can race in Xfinity, and he wants to go to all the road courses. This is the race they chose to leave off. And remember, he went out of his way to go to Road America. Like he literally skipped qualifying for Cup when he's like in the point. He was like leading in points by like 10 points. Chose to go practice at Road America instead. He chooses the tracks that he thinks he struggles at the most. This is the track he left off. This is like probably his best track or road course track, just best track period. And we haven't really seen that speed this year at the road courses with AJ, but I mean, what was he was up there in practice. Like, he was first in 3-lap average, first in 5-lap average. Didn't run enough laps for a 10-lap average, but I imagine it would be pretty sporty up there as well. Like runner-up here last year. Significantly better odds this week than last week, obviously. Started up in 6th, good qualifying runs, where he qualified like shit last week. Like, he just looks better across the board this week than last week. Like, it's hard to compare the two. So.
I like Dinger starting 6th, though, and I like him at road courses always. I don't know about the Cowlick thing, so whatever, but I'm playing some Dinger at 8.5 to 1.
Yeah. You could argue he's going to be cock blocked by like the Hendrick cars or whatnot, and McDowell, which is fair, and it may limit his upside. But I have less concerns regarding that than I do about the next play, Buescher.
Buescher starting 13th, 36 to 1. Not great win odds here.
Buescher just like is in a weird spot because he'd be a terrific cash game play if he had any place differential to work with. Maybe he still is a good cash game play. But he's just locked into running like 10th.
He's priced up here. It's not a good scene. Yep. Denny Hamlin on the pole, 7.5 to 1 win odds, 9K on DraftKings. Price down on FanDuel as well. Race winning upside. Practice speed wasn't the best, but fast enough to keep the cars behind him as long as he doesn't make a mistake. Denny is good when he has a lead. He's going to be competing with Willie Byron off the jump.
Yeah, that's what this play is literally just you're taking Hamlin or Byron just in the hopes that they lead a fuck ton of laps early and there are no early cautions to mess with that.
What's this? Kenny is asking if you could play Byron and Denny together.
I mean, honestly, how many times this year have we seen first and second be optimal together at road courses? It's happened. I mean, more often in the lower series, but it's happened quite a bit this year.
They're both
that was a good strategy last week. That was a good strategy. It worked.
They're both priced the cheapest you can get, 6.5 and 7.5 to 1 win odds for. I mean, look right after Hamlin, Byron, and then a little bit of Gibbs at 12 to 1. You then drop to effectively.
It drops like a rock, yeah.
The third zone. So like
you get into the drought range.
These are the cheapest of the odds.
Yeah. So I mean, Hamlin again. It's just he could just hold that lead forever. And that's very scary. We've seen this quite a bit recently where there's just not not as good of a car on the pole, but since he's on the pole, he can just kind of block forever and just rack up the laps. As where Byron looks faster, he does not have any sort of like track history, even track type history is just the main concern that everyone has with Byron here. But his price is so cheap, it's hard not to play him. Like, how do you not play him on FanDuel at 8.5? That is ridiculous.
Byron is pretty locked in here. So effectively, one of the Brady is saying he's got that Byron's got the fastest car, right?
Yeah,
Brady's saying
in practice, car. Yeah, he popped off.
Yeah, never seen Byron dominate, and I expect his teammates will get some of his speed. But there's a fine play. Race winning upside might go a little overowned. So you've got high-owned Hamlin, high-owned Byron. Both are solid plays. But it's also, I think, noteworthy to know. We saw this last week that like the pole sitter could get passed right off the jump.
He's literally in the same spot Reddick was last week, where he's super stupid fast in practice. Starting second, everyone had high expectations for him, priced decently, and just wasn't able to get anything done.
Yeah,
because he was just chilling, stuck behind people.
Yeah. And then
with Byron, there's just again the lack of track history, lack of track type history, lack of ever really dominating at road courses outside of like Rovals is, it's a bit of a reason for concern. But that price just, it's hard to overlook that price.
Steve, I can't recommend that as like let me put this way. Steve is asking if we would recommend slide like focusing 5 through 22, or at least in a few lines where it just use that grouping. And I would say, I can't. I think it's just a suspicion thing. If it's fun for you, then do it. But there's no like logical.
It's just going to force down guys like Byron, guys like McDowell, who are likely good plays. Like it's just going to destroy them.
But maybe that's a great idea. Maybe you'll fade some chalk. You won't have McDowell. You won't have Hamlin. You won't have Byron.
Like that'll be a lot of LaJoy. I think you need to do like 2 different runs of this. Honestly, like your main run that assumes that this is mostly a green flag race, and then probably sprinkle another run at the end where it's in case shit hits the fan.
DraftKings
gets a little crazy.
DraftKings took away the Mega Mini Max, which has lowered the mass multi-entry fund for me anyway.
That's for real. And the slingshot. RIP my slingshot. My favorite contest ever.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing for contests this week, but it's freaking weird. So let's continue down this list because now we're in a nondescript zone. So Ty Gibbs starting 4th, 12-1 odds. Nothing here stands out for me.
He keeps popping off in Xfinity, but like cool. I'm not really seeing it in Cup so far. Like he was set up better last week, and he failed to deliver once again. It's going to be kind of a wait and see with him. Like I've been doing the wait and see approach with him at like the short tracks, and he's kind of just now starting to really get into it. I'm going to wait and see with these with the road courses. I'll have like a touch of him just in case. Maybe like he's set up way better on FanDuel for me.
He's only
just one of those guys.
Only 8% ownership expectation here. Yeah, basically Ty Gibbs, show me. Starting 4th, you got to get to the front. He's 12-1, which is pretty damn good for the price. But
I think that line is just overinflated because he won the Xfinity race. Or he almost won the Xfinity race.
At some point,
until Mayer was a badass and knocked him out last lap. I
think we're going to be talking about Ty Gibbs as a stud driver like pretty soon, but it's not yet.
In a year or two, yeah, I think he'll be there.
I think he'll be in that discussion, but it's just not yet. All right, so notice the difference in win odds after Ty Gibbs.
Oh, we're dropping off a cliff.
Yeah, the cliff drops here.
And what sucks is we're still above average salary, so you're going to need some of these guys on the other side of the cliff. And this is where the drought comes into play.
I'm going to jump to the Brady sheet here, but yeah. So this is the cliff. Austin Cindric starting 17th. Was he good last week? I don't know.
He's been good. So like he's a top 10 threat at the road courses. Last week he was very much a 15th place car, and his practice speeds would suggest that he is once again a 15th place car.
That's not worth playing at this price. Chastain and 20%.
Get used to saying that. You're going to say that about everyone and realize you're going to have to lower your expectations. It's
I'm just going to say that about a lot of people right now.
When you move from California to Iowa and you're scouting the woman out, you got to realize that you might want to lower your standards a little bit.
No, I've met some Midwestern girls, and yes, it is a stark contrast, but every once in a while,
you find the diamonds in the rough out there.
Yeah, you ever see like the girlfriends of all the NFL quarterbacks when they come out of their colleges, and you're like, oh my God, where did they grow that blonde-haired, blue-eyed, corn-fed beauty? And it's like, oh, she came from Kansas.
Yeah, they're getting better with
Kentucky. They have, it's a wide. You also have your pot-bellied. Listen, it's a wide range. Ross Chastain, starting 22nd, just sucked last week. He's been bad.
He's been bad at road courses.
Not his thing.
He started off very hot in the next gen car, immediately cooled off, and has been dunked underwater since. 26th in practice. His odds are bad, like just pretty much in a void here.
You've got Bowman, another sort of nondescript 51-1 odds to win. At 8K, he's just too these guys, it's too close to the Studley zone here.
Right, but read what team he's on.
Let's see. Hendrick. Okay, I get it. He's been on that same team though.
He does not need to dominate like his teammates do. Last week the Sharps were all over Bowman, I noticed. He's very popular, and he was competitive. He was really competitive last week. Top 5 finish. Could have even finished better. Now, he has never finished better than 14th at this track. But like 12th in practice, he was fine enough in practice. Like with the reduced standards we're looking at this side of the field with, Bowman is not a bad player, really.
Blaney looks more interesting to me, but also I get it. So
well, Bowman is a decent road course racer, is where we're getting into the group of guys who are usually priced way higher, but just they're all older, have never been good road course racers. The guys like Harvick, guys like Logano, Keselowski, etc. There used to only ever be 2 road course races on the schedule in the first place, Sonoma and Watkins Glen. So this is one of them that they have like long-term history with. But now we're racing 6 road course races a year or whatever it is. Like, it's more important for the younger drivers to be good at road courses, where guys like Harvick have gotten away with never being good.
Wouldn't it be funny, Taco, if last week all the play stiff guys burned us, right? And so now no one wants to play any of them. Wouldn't it be funny if that just turned around and this week it was these play stiff guys that needed to?
In that case, I'll be prepared because I'm doing the second run for Carnage.
The Carnage run. But what if I think maybe they just do well in it? But yeah, Carnage, anything can happen.
They were going to have to find speed out their fucking ass, at least if we're talking about Harvick here.
You've got Ryan Blaney. How bad is Blaney that he's now 7,500 with play stiff upside? Like, he's not priced as a stud. He's priced as a 0. He's priced the same price as fucking Chase Briscoe. And you want to tell me Chase Briscoe is a better play than Ryan Blaney?
Chase Briscoe is a way better road course racer than Ryan Blaney. Let's be real here. But Blaney has been... He actually had a decent finish last week for the first time in forever. Before that, his track record at road courses in the next-gen car has been absolutely fucking horrific. It's been terrible. And he was never a road course guy to begin with.
You got to play these guys. You're going to have to.
Yeah. Starting 23rd, I like him better than Harvick, but that's not saying a lot because that car is
I'll talk to the Taco. It's funny that, did you do a Harvick one? No.
Whoa. You got to open on the sheets. That is.
You actually did complete your sheet? Oh.
It's been like
get
that.
the old refresher going. Oh, there we go. Man, I was like, Taco didn't finish his shit. Wait. What the?
You got to open on sheets. I don't know.
No, that should have refreshed. You can't see it on screen when you go to. Oh, that should have refreshed. I guess it's taking a minute. Hang on. No, Taco.
What?
Classic Taco.
Maybe I didn't paste over right. Hold on, let me do that.
Paste that shit in there. All right.
That's why I'm talking about it here.
Technical difficulties. Because I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? I hit refresh. All right. Chase Briscoe.
Got you.
Brady loves him. Fords are slow, but Briscoe is too good to stay back in the 20s. I think he will push forward. So effectively, Brady's saying this guy's just a good driver. He's good at this type of track, and he will figure out his way to squeeze forward from this spot. Brady loves it. Loves it.
So, I mean, he did that last week. He came 6th. It was solid. My concern really is just his practice times were shit. All of Stewart-Haas Racing is like deep in the 30s in practice times. Kind of awful.
Refreshing. There we go. Ah, there it is. Okay. So Brady loves it. Let's see what Taco says. Still not there. Killing me. All right. Where are we? Briscoe. Yeah. All right. So moving on from but Briscoe's an interesting place.
Well, I want to make the case for Briscoe.
Yeah, make the case.
It's just a team-wide thing. They're so shit. Briscoe 31st, Harvick 35th, Priest 33rd, Almirola 36th. Absolutely fucking terrible. Those are like the very, very, very bottom of the barrel. They ran significant laps. Like Stewart-Haas Racing is stupid slow this week, just across the board.
Yeah.
Now Briscoe is the best road course racer out of the bunch, but I mean, last week at Indy, I mean, if you watch the Indy races, you could probably have seen that coming because Briscoe is very good at his home track. You saw it in the debut where he was like running second up to like 2 laps to go. He's just always like struggled with actual like execution at these tracks. But he did manage to get a good finish together. So I like him as a carnage play. I don't think he can just legitimately drive through the field like that again, at least based on what we've seen from his qualifying effort and his practice times. They just were not there.
He's 30 seconds behind. I mean, 30 tenths of a second or 50, half a second behind, like acceptable speeds.
Yeah. He's going to be Stewart-Haas as a team. Just something is very off this week.
Yeah. And Kenny G gives you the correct answer for these two.
Well, I thought Kenny G was about to come in here saying, all right, I'm stacking at least 3 Stewart-Haas in every lineup.
No, he plays the smart plays.
Yeah,
he's fading.
Yeah, Harvick is going to like project really well, and it's going to be so rough this week because he's starting 33rd. Sure, if there's carnage, sure, but goddamn it, car slow.
That's some chalk right there. I don't know if you could fully fade Harvick.
That's my issue. Like I don't know.
Starting 33rd, that's a big ask to fully fade that.
You forced me to play a Stewart-Haas guy. I'm probably just going to go all the way down to Priest because he's as cheap as he can get.
Well, I was just going to say the way you acceptably fade this group is by finding something you can play down here.
And it is all like relative to the guys around them. The guys around them all look pretty bad too. Like this whole range is kind of stinky.
Do we run a global percentage max? I really do control it. I really do like to control the optimizer on a driver by driver basis. I will go. I'm not saying today because I haven't run my run yet, but in NASCAR, I'll go as high as 50-60% on certain drivers. Mm-hmm. But then for the rest, your universal should always be like around 30%. But I do allow for a few spots to pop. Personally, would you put Nador on Briscoe? No, no. I mean, if you want to, so basically, if you want to follow Brady's approach, yes, you should absolutely put Nador. But if you want to follow the Taco approach,
we're disagreeing a lot this week.
Yeah, there's a lot of disagreement between Brady and Taco. And listen, both Taco and Brady are a fucking hell of a lot better at it than I am. So I don't know, like which approach do you want to sort of mirror? Let's where's Taco? It's filled out. There we go. Where is he? Briscoe.
Not a fan.
Taco got the fade on. Brady's got the core. There are 2 plays on this. By the way, this has never happened.
But no, it's happened. I've won the last 3. We had like major disagreements.
I know, not disagreements, but like
not that I'm keeping track or anything.
Yeah, well, you are keeping track.
Fade versus core, yeah.
Yeah. So it is what it is, but there is some disagreement here, and I don't it's like asking a parent to choose between their kids. I'm not choosing between my kids. Hell no. Hell no. I won't choose. Ryan Blaney. All right. So just continuing on through here. We were on Briscoe. Yeah. All right. So we got a trio of fadeable spots here with Keselowski, Wallace, and Gilliland. Keselowski starting 24th. Bubba 12th is just no good.
No, that play is terrible. He's so bad at road course. He cannot finish them ever.
No, Bubba. Ain't no.
And he's overqualified.
Every
Like there's
burger's
no
better. Every burger's better than Bubba
I'm
this
touching
week.
him.
Not touching that. Todd Gilliland. McDowell was the man last week. Was Gilliland bad last week at starting 25th?
I mean, Gilliland's usually pretty bad at these. He has like a few random pop-off moments, like at the Chicago Street Race. He finished like top 5, which is cool and all. I think last year at Indy, he had a random top 10 finish, but that was due to pure carnage. Other than that, he is not really in play. He's priced up like quite a bit, maybe just because he's teammates with McDowell. I don't know, but I don't think a lot of times the teams can share speed with each other, like setups and stuff. You can't really share road course acumen with each other, which I'm sure McDowell would do for Gilliland if he could, but you can't just show someone how to be a better road course racer overnight. You gotta work like that.
Kenny is loading up on Gilliland. I'm just looking at the practice times.
Hey, more power to you. Like, none of these plays are good. Like,
yeah,
you're kind of picking your poison down here, so I can't really knock you unless you're picking like Bubba or something. I'm
just trying to find a reason for it, and if you needed a reason to play him, he certainly is a little bit faster than this group with Harvick and Blaney and Briscoe. Like no, Blaney's faster than him, but like he's faster than Briscoe. He's a lot faster than Keselowski this week. He seems to be decent in terms of speed in this grouping.
He's fine. He just started a little bit too high, and he's priced a little bit too high for my liking. I liked him better. He's in the 5K starting 30th.
Look at Colo. Colo might be that thing, Rick. We'll get to him in a second, but he might be that guy.
He's in the green flag lineups.
Yeah,
he can confirm.
He might. Yeah, he might be that guy. So, by the way, Colo, because he's so cheap, can fall a bunch of spots and still be in the nuts lineup. So he's really interesting for me. But here are some plays that we're going to be on, right? Eric Jones starting 31st. Looked like ass. I mean, for the most
Last
part.
week, he had a car that was just dead on arrival. He was 400 to 1. He's 130 to 1 this week. It's kind of the main reason I'm still on him. This has historically been a good track for him. And I mean, other than that, like he's not bought 30 in practice times, which I guess is something. Makes him better than Stuart Haas cars at least, but there's still a lot of reason for concern here, obviously.
But starting 31st at this price,
again.
You need some salary relief. What I think if he gets to 20 from here, Taco, I think that's enough.
I mean, this range could be so bad that all he needs to do is get the 25th. Like, you're really just digging through the mud here this week compared to like a normal week where you'd have a bunch of like free plays in this range. Like this, there's just a severe drought. That's what's going to make him break this slate, honestly.
Do you want to predict that the winning lineup?
Shitty plays.
Taco, does the winning lineup this week have like a sub 30-point driver in it?
Oh, yeah, probably.
I mean, that's big. That's unusual.
I mean, we're kind of ramping up towards the point that we typically make during these value drought slates, which is if every play 7K and below is bad, why not just go all the way to the very bottom?
Well, there is that reality.
We'll get there, but
yeah.
So far we haven't found any good looking plays because Jones is like the highest projecting play, and he is not a good play.
Here's what I love about your sheet, Taco. Here's what I love about your sheet. And guys, if you're watching this and you're not like you're on the channel here, awesome. But if you don't subscribe to the site where you get to see these sheets for every slate, for every day, every race, NASCAR, Xfinity, all of that, where we cover all of all of the motorsports and everything, the F1 and everything like that, you don't get to see it. What I love about the sheet is that these are, that there are full recommended fades here. This isn't like play everybody. So you got a lot of fades coming up here. A lot of fades.
Made it easy this week.
A lot of guys just don't bother with it. Although I think, like I said, we might say a couple of these fades might actually be playable. So the fade GPPs we have to keep in mind just a little bit here.
Situational this week. You got your green flag plays, get your carnage plays.
So Eric Jones 34. I think that's a good play. I'm fine with Eric Jones. 130 to 1. That's decent odd. Better than Ricky's 10. That's like the best odds in the zone. Some of the better odds in the zone anyway. To the point where I think that's a good play. Austin Dillon starting 16th, 250 to 1. That is a fade. Just gross. Justin Haley.
Dylan, it's worth pointing out that it's not complete fade just because his practice times were at least decent. He was 14th on the board. It's not bad. Compared to a lot of the guys in this range, it's a lot of sus plays, but we have to look at it through, we can't unfriend people so easily this week because every play is so bad. But yeah, Dylan has been bad this year, finishing road course races. He's been pretty awful in that regard. And yeah, the 250 to 1 odds also just pretty bad.
Not good. Not a good scene for Austin Dillon. Justin Haley, a guy who we've liked all season. We've enjoyed him. Say he's a decent road course racer. 150 to 1, not bad. Starting 20th. I think Haley is a at 6K is somebody you got to leave in your mix.
Yeah. Wouldn't be a good play on a normal slate, but a slate like this with the value drought, it's fine.
Yeah. I'm just going to clarify this. Dooley, that's a good question. I think the reason it says chalk cash is because in GPP, anytime anybody is close to 50% owned, it's almost always a bad play. But as prognosticators / touts / whatever we are, you don't want to tell people don't play what is on paper the single best play from a win odds perspective, from a all outside factors other than ownership's going to be really high. And there's something about in GPP, if you just never play anybody that's 40 to 50% owned ever, you will probably make more money over the long haul than if you do.
It's kind of track type dependent too. Like at short flat tracks that are super predictable, like Richmond, we love those chalk plays. All in on them. Go crazy. If it's like Allmendinger and Xfinity, usually at a road course, yeah, it's probably good. For a while there, Kyle Busch and trucks, although recently that's not really been the case. But yeah, you have your instances where taking the chalk guys are going to be fine. I'm not terribly thrilled about it, especially in GPP, especially since the value drought exists. I think the value drought is so bad. I don't really like paying up for Elliott that much.
Yeah, that's legitimately what Taco means there, because it's confusing to people when you say chalk cash. What does that mean? Well, what he's saying is, listen, this is the chalk in tournaments. If you're
people generally know what to do with the chalk, right?
You got to know what you do with the chalk, right? You probably want to fade the chalk more often than not, right?
I can't tell you what kind of DFS player you are. If you gobble chalk all day, then go for it. But if you're like a Bobby Wow, fuck it, I'm going deep, unleash the dragon, faint first or last, fade the chalk guy, then yeah, you got to fade him.
I love that you just said unleash the dragon. I want to work with that later on. So
shout out Rex Grossman.
Yeah, I need to think about that for later on and how I can work that into some Bobby Wow podcasts. I now I want to when he comes on, I want to intro him with unleash the dragon, something like that.
You have to ask Rex Grossman for permission, but I'm sure he'll give it to him.
That's right. All right. So yeah, so that's really what that means. Mm-hmm. And then we don't want to tell everybody fade all the chalk all the time because it's a good play and you'll look stupid. Why would you say fade Chase Elliott? He was the favorite and he won the race and he dominated the whole thing. And you're like, well, he was 50% owned. That's why. So anyway, that's just an ownership play from Taco.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Eric Jones, I like it 31st overall, but keeping in mind that he was asked last week, but you're right. He was 400 to 1. There was somebody who knew something about him.
His car was dead on arrival last week.
Yeah. Where here he's got normal win odds. He's probably got the best win odds for somebody starting at 31st. So
yep, and he was 10th here last year in this car, in the next gen car. Very good run from him. And he started back in 30th too. He did exactly what we need out of him to be optimal. He's in the exact same spot.
And to answer this one, hell yeah, it could. You could get a nuts winner.
I'm telling you,
the nuts this week, you will need your finishes in the top 10. It could work out, especially if Colo.
Actually, on FanDuel, if you go Colo and just go all top 10, that could totally work out.
FanDuel is so good this week. I think I'm going to max. I think this will be the first time I just YOLO it and play on FanDuel instead of DraftKings. I'm telling you, I'm feeling it.
Oh yeah,
I'm feeling that.
I'm
Eric
feeling
Jones,
something else that you're not going to like here soon, but we'll get to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to it in a second here. So we said Justin Haley, Ricky Stenhouse, good play.
My favorite value play, and he's not a very good play. That's just the state of the slate. He was 18th in practice, had a good hot lap. Realistically, is more like, mid pack. Started off the year really well. 7th at Coda, 12th at Sonoma. The Chicago Street Race wrecked out early. Whatever. 25th last week. That's pretty meh. 250-1. That's also pretty meh. He's finished top 20 of the last 5 years here. So that's
I'm loading up on Stenhouse. Let's be real.
This is an all right play. On this
price,
play, an all right play is like a really good play.
Yeah. For this price,
comparatively,
and with this turd group behind him, I'm loading up on this guy.
Yeah, it's Dylan and it's Stenhouse for me that stick out above the rest.
Austin Dillon?
Or not Dylan, sorry, Jones.
Jones. Don't fuck with my head here. Hold on.
Sorry. We're the wrong person.
That's just like a weird Google Sheets delay, Darren. Just either refresh that page or give it a second. It will clear up, but that's a Google Sheets thing. We're actually, on that note, Darren, we're getting away from Google Sheets for a lot of our stuff. Part of the new website launch was to make the site more mobile friendly. You guys haven't even seen the mobile friendly tools yet because we're just trying to get the website tweaked in and twerked out and all of that. But we have new tools coming that will also be super mobile friendly. And that was a big reason we did a massive overhaul of the website. Probably shouldn't have, in hindsight. This thing has been it's just been forever, but you will eventually start to see much more mobile friendly tools. We're stuck with using Google Sheet embeds and things like that have weird load times. So that's why you see that blank sheet for a second. You just got to refresh that. But again, just exciting sort of spoiler alert. Part of the new site, we are launching all new tools like cheat sheets and research stations and all the tools that we have now, but in a much more mobile friendly format. So I think you guys are going to love that because a lot of people, I have a hard time reading these sheets on mobile when I'm on it. I'm like, so much scrolling. We're going to get rid of some of that.
I have to disagree with Brady about another thing. I mean, we're on the same play here. It's just 5 stars for Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Yeah,
I don't think we should be that enthusiastic about this play.
I mean, listen, it's one of the few spots where you and Brady agree. I was just like, oh, Taco and Brady, same page. Here we go. Both Taco.
It's just not that great of a play.
I think it's
like
just
25th last week.
It's just a good play for the price, and there's no one else. I think that's really what this play comes down to. It's like the last playable cheapie. Although we'll see about some other. Eric Almirola, I'm just going to throw away.
No, bro. Dead last in practice. When Ty Dillon and Josh Bilicki are significantly faster than you and you're on a top tier team, you've got problems.
Unfriend you.
Last place last week as well.
Kill a priest.
Outside the Chicago street course race, he has been absolutely dog shit at road courses in the next gen car. That's why he's 400-1.
Yeah, screw that. Now, Killer Priest a little better at 200-1. Starting 30th, not terrible here. Let's see what Taco said as Brady was just like, whatever. Taco said slow, like the rest of his SHR turd mates. You shouldn't call them turd mates.
That's a good one.
It's messed up.
Not usually a punny guy, but I'll consider it.
Yeah. Better than Almirola at least. Just nothing good here, even though I love Killer Priest and starting 30th.
It's just you're playing him in the Carnage run.
Yeah, on the Carnage run. Lots of Mike Rockenfeller, hell no.
Starting 21st. Legacy. It's in freaking Gregson's car.
No, it's just a no. And then Cole Custer.
He had the 1 lap of practice, so it kind of threw you off here, but the car's probably bad.
Don't be fooled by the name. Yeah, don't be fooled by the. Although he had a good lap in practice, so I don't know.
This is 1 lap though.
How did he pull off?
He didn't have any fall off.
Yeah.
But just.
Has Cole Custer, the driver, been good at road tracks at all?
He came 11th here last year in Stewart Haas equipment, but they weren't struggling like they are now.
I'm just going to say
18th in 2021. I like him for a Carnage play. Actually, just with how shitty everyone else in this range is, I really don't mind Cole Custer.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I kind of am not going to unfriend him.
He's just starting so far back, but we'll get to it.
So here we go. Cheat code Colo. Now, Corey LaJoy, super fast in practice. One of the faster practice times out of anyone. What? Colo? Yeah, Colo. Very fast.
Yep.
Again, Cole Custer
Going
too,
to the
man. That
rear
thing was
though.
fast, only one lap, but still, he had a fast lap in practice. But Colo averaged 71.94 seconds per lap, which is comparable to. It's better than Denny Hamlin's averages. Let's look at the fastest, 71. He's in that range. He's faster than Buescher. You know, he's faster than Suarez. He's in the zone with all the studs. 71.8. I mean, he's up there with Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson, the whole crew. What is going on here? How did Spire make a vehicle go so fast?
They've been kind of fast at I think they were top 15 in practice last week. Like they've been kind of rolling at the road courses, like specifically. But
Imagine
again,
loading up.
This play only matters if he doesn't go to the rear.
Where's Kenny G? What did he say for Colo?
He said like 60% or something. 60%.
Crazy. It's not Kojo, it's Colo. God damn
Kojo.
it. It's not fucking Kojo, it's Colo. Your shit together, Kenny G. So Colo is really interesting here. He's starting 10th. That is not that far forward, Taco. If he was starting 4th, I'd be more concerned like McDowell last week. Can he hodl?
I think the mark is he needs to finish top 16, top 17.
Yeah.
He's hanging there, which he can. As long as he doesn't go to the rear. That news is not out yet. No one's been confirmed to the rear yet. But if that does happen, then I'm going to like him significantly less.
Kenny's lucky.
Starting position has mattered. If this thing goes green, it will be huge from the start in the top 10. Like
Kenny's
massive.
a domination station guy. So if that news comes out, you want to rerun those lineups.
Yeah.
Without Colo at 60%. Probably without Colo at all. I am not playing Colo if he starts in the back, but here from 10th place, 81-1 odds, not good for a 10th place guy. But very, very good for 5,200. And you're right. The nice thing about this spot at that price is I think you're good down to, what'd you say about 16? What does he get? What is the score if he gets to 16th?
21.
Yeah.
So like really top 15 is what we should be targeting here. And you know, he has 2 top 15 finishes this year at COTA and at the Chicago Street Race, which may not be like the best comps. He has a top 15 the last road course race of last year, the Charlotte Roval. Other than that, it's been all really bad finishes. Here, his best finish is 24th in 3 runs.
I'm telling you something right now. I'm playing some fucking Cole Custer too, dude. I'm just going to do it.
No, he's not bad when you just compare him to everyone else.
Yeah. I'm just going to do it. I think there's 2 reasons you could play Cole Custer. One of which is that one lap was pretty quick, so maybe he's got something going on. And number 2 is who cares at that price? He only needs like a 22, which means he only from 34th. Where do you need to get to score about 22 or 23? About 25th place, 24th?
Like 26th. Like 26th place, and he gets 24 points.
Yeah, dude, you got to play some of these guys. I think it's going to be a sub 30 in the lineup, and these guys don't have to even be good. They just a little bit of carnage, and they're there. Cole Custer, a little carnage that he's not involved with, and he's there. So Eric Jones, same thing. So, but these guys are way cheaper and allows you to have a different lineup style. From here, it gets really it gets worse. Harrison Burton was horrific in practice, 400-1. What is this odds? This is a mistake for Cole Custer. What are the actual? Wait a minute. What am I looking at here? Oh no, 34th, 250-1. Sorry, my brain farted just there. 250-1, and then 400-1 for Burton, and then you get the zeros here. Pure carnage, and even with carnage, they'll be these guys.
Lally, you can knock them off. No one's going a lap down here. It's 2.5 miles. That's the thing.
I'm saying that's these guys might figure out how to go a lap down.
Maybe.
They might
Probably not.
But you get the idea. 900-1.
Ty Dillon and Josh Balicki, I think they have a spot on this slate, and they would never have a spot if they weren't starting in the final 2 positions. As Carnage plays, they kind of just get lumped right in with Custer. Custer's probably a safer version of just saying fuck it and going all the way to the bottom. because whenever there's a value drought, like the answer to that has always been just play the guy starting the very rear at the very bottom to save as much money as possible.
So effectively here, you would play Ty Dillon, who is horrible. And if carnage happens and a bunch of cars crash from the front, then he's going to move up by default. And then, you kind of hope when you do that you also get a little bit of luck where he's not in second to last or last place at the end, but rather, 4 or 5 spots from last, but a bunch of people crashed. So he gets you to 24, 25.
He was 27th last week at the Indy Road Course. 27th gets him 24 points. He was 23rd at Sonoma, last road course before this. And then last year in this track, he was 16th in what is basically Noah Gragson's car. Not terrible. So I'd probably prefer him over Bilicki. Bilicki usually like the more road coursey kind of guy, but Bilicki was like super slow in practice. Dillon, 29th in practice, isn't like that terrible compared to like a lot of this range. And it's still pretty bad, but
that's right. You know what?
I would probably go Custer over Dillon over Bilicki when it comes to just say, fuck these guys. I'm going deep down there. I'm just punting and just affording whoever I want, getting that Elliott in the lineup. There's probably going to be a strong correlation between these punt plays at the bottom and rostering Elliott. So maybe even playing these guys without Elliott is a great way to be different. I don't know, but
let's look
you
at
go
guys
this cheap. If you like Larson or something,
let's
these
look
are your
at
options probably.
Some names that Ty Dillon. So yeah, Josh Bilicki was almost a half a second slower than Dillon per lap. So there is quite a difference here, even between these two. Dillon faster than Burton, but if you look at Dillon
also starting dead last.
Yeah, well, that's the bonus, right? So if you look at Dillon relative to some other drivers, same speed as Briscoe, in the zone with Keselowski, better than Keselowski, better than Harvick. So there are absolutely drivers that he is on paper faster than.
He was right there with Suarez, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, so that's crazy. I mean, not quite. 72.3, 72.8. I mean, he's slower than Suarez, but it's not that much slower. He's not in the zone with any of these guys, but he's certainly, like, when you look at this zone, he's kind of like, all right, kind of not that different. So with some of these guys, so I could see, I do see the strategy here in playing some Ty Dillon starting way back. Tended, he hasn't had like anything special this year, but tended to be a safer driver that doesn't crash or doesn't just like, you always see like Bilicki, he's out, these turds at the bottom, they just are out for some stupid reason. Ty Dillon's been hanging around more often than not. Let's see recent road course finishes, 27, 23. He's got some 20s in there if you go back a ways, although different vehicles. Nothing special here.
Yeah.
Pure carnage and pure, like, we need cheapies. There's no values this week kind of play. But yeah, I think I prefer Custer, and I definitely prefer Ricky Stenhouse and those types if you want to just pay just a little bit more. So, Taco, that's going to do it for us. Any final thoughts on this track? Before we start hammering some lineups out, I'm going to take a look at DraftKings and see what are they offering? $4 Chrome Horn 20 entry. Classic lug nut. Back to
the same old.
Back to same old. No.
So I guess keep in mind who needs.
I assume there's a mini max
into the
too.
Playoffs.
Is there a mini max for this one too, Taco?
There's a regular mini max. There's always one.
Is that a 50 cent, $1?
50 cent. So the guys on the outside looking in here, for the playoff cut line. The playoff cut line right now, you've got Stenhouse is in with a win. You've got Harvick, Keselowski, and Wallace in on points. Harvick and Keselowski pretty damn safe on points. It's really Bubba Wallace plus 28. Like, those guys are plus 140. Bubba Wallace plus 28 is hanging on to the final spot of the playoffs. And right behind him is Suarez minus 28, Gibbs minus 49. And then, with only 2 weeks to go, it's going to be hard to make up 80 points. But Elliott and Bowman are 80 points away. They probably need a win to get in. Allmendinger, 87 points behind. He's probably going to need a win to get in. Cindric is in that same boat. Haley.
They're going to get chased.
And then the rest are probably have no real chance of winning. But The guys that you should expect to make some interesting moves. Maybe not Elliott because he can win this race legitimately, but I would probably expect some interesting moves from Suarez, Gibbs, Bowman, Allmendinger, and Cindric this week because they need to win to get in. Maybe not Suarez. Suarez is right there on points. They'll probably try to run it clean, but like Gibbs, Bowman, Allmendinger, Cindric, those guys, and Chase Elliott.
This feels like a cash fade week. Just don't even bother.
Yeah, I mean,
although I think with like the cheapie of like Cashew should be interesting this week.
Cashew should play Ty Dillon and Custer, probably,
and Cash.
But it seems frustrating. Yeah,
just play Ty Dillon and then play all guys who are good.
I'm definitely playing a bit lighter than I usually do this week because the road courses of next gen car have been kind of like not as predictable as I would enjoy. We need more short flat tracks. Those are the shit.
Give me those predictable tracks. I'm about it.
Give me super speedways. Fuck what Brady thinks.
But super speedways are my favorite.
I love them.
Anyway, all right, let's wrap it up there. Good luck this week, everybody. We'll see you at the top of the leaderboards. Make sure you get those DFS Army avatars on your DraftKings account. So when you take these tournaments down, you can win this awesome swag. This fucking hat, it's fire. You want one? It's fire. I got some new Sharp swag in. I don't even know where it is. I was going to show it, but we got a fire Sharp hat that we just put out. New DFS Army gear. We got all these different colors. So you win the swag. You take down a tournament with the DFS Army avatar on your account. You're a fan of the show. You show it. Show your pride. Win the thing. Let us know. We send you swag, shirt, hat, all kinds of cool shit. I got a new thing going for swag too. I thought up for this upcoming season for the YouTube subscribers. They grab the thing and we give them a free month of VIP when they take one down.
Sick.
Yeah. It's a new concept I'll be rolling out for NFL. All right. That's going to do it. Good luck this week, everybody. We'll see you at the top of the leaderboards.
Let's go.